Hello, the internet. Matthew here, coming to you with a second entry in my Mind Program journal. As of this recording, I've had 4 more sessions, and I'd like to tell you about some of the effects I've noticed in that time. At the end of the last journal, I reported that after my 8th session, I hadn't seen anything really new pop up in terms of any new effects or changes in my behavior. That has all remained true even after my 9th session, which was on June 25th. I'm still more clear-headed, I still have better control over my emotions, and overall I do have a somewhat greater sense of well-being, but I haven't up to that point noticed any real dramatic changes. However, something did change after my 10th session on July 3rd. Now, in that session, the electrodes that were placed on my head had been moved to another location. And I noticed after that point, throughout the week, I had a certain sense of, I would say, internal agitation. Now, it's not that I was agitated. It's not that I had lost control of my emotions more or anything like that. I just felt like something inside me was stirring, like something had changed, like my brain was working on a new problem. And indeed, in many ways, it actually was. As I said in my self-care tag video, which I've linked down below, a lot of times when my brain starts to slide into a depressive state, I will churn on problems that I don't necessarily have a lot of control over. One of my brain's, or my unconscious mind's favorite go-tos is the fact that I've been single for a while. And this would normally help further decrease the health of my mental state and push me further into a depressive mindset. But I noticed this time, even though everything in my brain started to feel like it was churning up, each time I would start to fall into a depressive mode, it wouldn't stay there. My mental tracks just couldn't stay in a depressive state. And even if it lasted all day, I'd wake up the next day and feel fine. And if you don't suffer from any kind of depression, these concepts I'm talking about might be a little hard to grasp. But if you do, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you just wake up and you feel either depressed or not. With dysthymia, I can slide into a depressive state and maybe not really know it and not really feel it, which is why, as I said in my last journal entry, I have to constantly monitor my feelings and my moods. So this was a little bit different of an experience for me, and I have to attribute it right away to the Mind Program. Now, this pattern of change continued on after my 11th session, which was on July 9th. I was thankful to note that the feelings of internal agitation, the stirrings, started to subside, but yet I was still able to keep in this mode where if my head started to slide down a little bit, if I started to get into a more depressive state for whatever reason, whether there was a catalyst to it or not, it won't stay there. This continued from the 10th session on after the 11th session, and that was the weirdest part for me. As I've said, my mind can sometimes go into a really dark place. A lot of times when it would stop going there, seemingly on its own, I could feel like I know where it would continue going. I feel like I know how bad it would get, but there was just no going there. My brain would just stop. It would stop the downward spiral. The thoughts that I would normally chew on to keep me in a depressive state, mostly unwillingly, wasn't happening. But I could almost feel like I could see where it would go. In one sense, that I was gaining more control over my positive mindset, but in a sense losing control over where my brain would go, over the thoughts that I would have, because they would just start going in a positive direction automatically. Now, my 12th session was on July 16th. And as I've indicated in my vlogs, I've spent the last couple of years retraining my mind and my brain to focus on the bigger picture, to not get bogged down in minutia, and also to do the hard things, to push myself a little harder, and to do the things I might not want to do so that I can have better success in the long term. Now, this is the habit of successful people, the millionaires and billionaires of this world. And although I've trained my brain to do this more, we can all slide into bad habits. Looking back, I noticed that I might have been pushing off some of the more difficult things, might not have been pushing myself as hard. But since my 12th session, and maybe even a little before that, I've noticed that I've had less trouble actually pushing myself to do unpleasant tasks or to work a little harder. I've also noticed that it's become easier to catch myself when I'm getting distracted and to snap my mind back onto the task at hand. So it's not that I'm losing my attention, but I'm regaining it much faster and with much greater effect. Now, as I've said, I'm also on the ketogenic diet, and that's going very, very well for me. I'm into a more balanced state. I've passed the keto flu and the keto euphoria. However, even though this diet has given me more mental clarity, The fact that I'm able to reassign tasks and to push myself to keep my attention back on track no matter how many times it slips, I have to attribute directly to the mind program. There's really no other factor that has changed. The fact that I not only notice when I'm losing my attention, but that I can snap it back on track can only be attributed to the fact that the mind program is actually starting to rewire my brain. Now, I don't know how long this will last. I hope it's permanent, and I hope it gets better and more effective and more efficient, but only time will tell. But I have to say, I'm optimistic. So that concludes my second Mind Program journal entry. I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope you got something out of this. Please make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the little notification bell if you haven't already so that you could be notified next month when I post the next Mind Program journal after I've had another 4 sessions. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the comments section below and I will do my best to answer you. If I don't have the information you are looking for, I will definitely make sure I can get you at least a link or more information as quickly as I can. And speaking of information, the best source for information about the Mind Program is to go down into the description and go to the Phi Center's website or follow them on social media so that this way you can learn more about the Mind Program directly from the source. For now, this is Matthew of Monster Health and Fitness signing off. I'm reminding you to get out of your own way. I know I sure am. Take care, everybody.